So going back to the ergonomics example for physiology that we discussed from the last video, making sure that you are being specific about the aspect of ergonomics that you're talking about in the first instance using your statement, and also mentioning exactly what product you're talking about is going to make it very, very clear to the marker exactly what product and what aspect you're talking about. So if they need to skim over to total up your marks, it's clear to see for them because you have written it on the page. Given your evidence, making sure you're being specific about the force required or the pressure or the size or the part that you are talking about, and then saying how that's been influenced in the design. So what have they actually had to do there? They've had to develop the steering mechanism, so they would need to know the force required to turn the handlebar, so that your link here, it can be turned easily by a child, because we know that's the target market, without causing any strain to them. That's the important thing about physiology. It's all about physical interaction and not causing strain and being safe to use. Psychology can be probably the most difficult part of ergonomics to write about, so I've done an additional slide on this to help you with answering these aspects in ergonomics questions. The important thing to remember about psychology is that it's all about how design features will make the user feel. And it'll usually be influenced by either functional or aesthetic features. So things like if there are barriers, straps, or safety features like emergency stops. If the designer has used colour coding or colour contrast to highlight moving parts or features. If there are textured areas or materials on different parts or features, or if they've used a rounded form or shape. So for example, the skate scooter has the two rounded ball shapes added to the end of the handlebar, which will act as a safety barrier to prevent a child's hand from slipping off. Looking at that, that's going to psychologically make that child feel more safe and secure when they're using that scooter, because they're going to think when they see it, that's going to stop my hands from slipping off. The design of the kick scooter uses contrasting colours for the adjustable parts, and that again will psychologically make it easy for the user to understand where the moving parts are, whether that be the child or the parent. Psychology doesn't just have to be about making you feel safe. It can make it feel more fun. It can make things easier to understand. So make sure that when you're answering psychology questions, because it can be a little bit more complex, that you're talking about the feeling that it gives and you're not just talking about the aesthetic qualities, because we know that aesthetics has a strong influence on psychology, but you need to make sure that you're talking about how that influences the user's experience or feelings when you're answering a psychology question. And this would be a perfect answer for an ergonomics question. There are two separate points about anthropometrics for each scooter. So the first one is anthropometrics for the skate scooter. The second is anthropometrics for the kick scooter. Then there are 2 points for physiology. First one for physiology in the skate scooter, second for physiology in the kick scooter, and the fifth point at the bottom to get the fifth mark is considering psychology for the skate scooter in this example, but there are psychological aspects that you can talk about for the kick scooter as well. The SQA do not pick products that you're not going to be able to write answers to. The products are there and they've been chosen for a reason to allow you to be able to write an appropriate answer for it. So never feel like there's absolutely nothing that you could write about for any of the products that you've been given. And that is how you would write an ergonomics answer for section 1.